This is Steve in Dallas, Texas. It's Saturday morning, and you, my friend, are listening to Light Talk.
Hello, this is Brackley in Las Vegas. And today we are talking about lighting water, source floors, and helping each other out, all on Light Talk.
And this is David, coming to you from Long Beach, California. And if you don't already know, you are listening to Light Talk, and we are the Lumen Brothers. Well, welcome to episode 157. Last week, we had Jeff Ravitz on our third anniversary show. And that was such a great episode and such a great interview, revealing all those wonderful broadcast lighting secrets. He's a great interviewer, a great guy, and I think we all had a good time. Did you have a good time, Steve?
Well, that's what everyone says. Everyone says he's a great guy.
Yeah.
And I had never spoken to him before, but he certainly came across that way.
He's a very kind gentleman and a very generous gentleman. Do you know him at all, Brackley?
Yeah, I met him at LDI this year, actually. He was hosting a session on the floor, talking to various lighting designers, and I went up and I talked to him for a little bit. He's a very, very nice guy.
So if you didn't listen to it, we urge you to go and check it out, episode 156, our third anniversary show. Also, he is a new member of our band, the Lumenoids. So
hang on, it'd be our fourth anniversary show.
Is it our fourth?
Yes, it's our fourth.
No, I think it's third. We're starting our fourth season.
Starting our fourth season.
But that's not our fourth anniversary. It's not.
Listen,
when you're married for 1 year.
Let's call it our fourth. It's like 10 years.
It's going to be a long show.
Are we talking about dog years or regular
that's 7
human
years? Dog years, then it'd be our 20, our 30, what's 4 times 7 is 28? I don't know. No, I mean, seriously, when you're married for 1 year, you have your 1 year anniversary. So we've done 3 years, and that'd be our third anniversary, right? We're starting our fourth season now with this episode.
That's true.
So there you go. Okay, I'm glad we've cleared that up.
Anniversary episode with Jeff Ravitz.
It's a wonderful and a third anniversary episode with Jeff Ravitz. Thank you so much, Brackley. And so he's going to join the Lumenoids. He's another keyboard player. We discovered we basically owned the same organ. And I may have bought it at his garage sale. But it's a great episode filled with amazing knowledge about broadcast lighting. And we'd like to thank him for joining us. Also, we have Brackley back on. Hey, Brackley, good to see you again.
Hey, thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, we're actually doing this on Zoom so we can actually see the video, which is kind of interesting because, boy, are we ugly. I'm telling you.
Speak for yourself.
I've had... I know, it's really funny. So how are things going in Las Vegas?
Well, not so good on the Strip. Everything is closed down. All the casinos closed down last week. All the hotels closed. So on the Strip, it's very, very vacant, and all those entertainment fellows and women have lost their jobs, and hopefully they'll get something from this new bill that was just passed in Congress.
Yeah, it's really sad. It must be like a ghost town. It must be really weird.
Yeah, I came into school today. School's closed. We're all doing everything online now, but I drove into my office where I have everything set up for this and drove in by the Wynn and the Palazzo, and just is very, very, very scarce. Not anybody on the Strip, nobody going in the hotels, obviously, so it's kind of surreal.
It's great to have you back, Brackley. You know, we have actually a new segment here. It's called Making Lemonade Out of Lemons Award. We want Steve to tell us what he's doing about Design Showcase East. Why don't you give us an update on that, Steve?
Well, this is our 19th anniversary of Design Showcase East, and there was simply no way to proceed with this. There was no responsible way to do this. So we pulled the plug on Design Showcase East about a week ago. I started talking with some of the member schools, and what we've done is we are going all virtual. So we are committing to keeping Design Showcase East going this year. We're going to go to virtual portfolios. We are updating the Design Showcase East website daily with 2 student portfolios. That same information is being shared on the Light Talk Facebook page. It's called Designer du Jour, and we do that weekdays, Monday through Friday. We take Saturday and Sunday off. And then next week, we'll start again. So we've got, I guess that's 10 designers up right now. We'll do 10 again next week. Had we had the showcase this year, we would have been presenting close to 50 portfolios. So, I mean, a lot of people were disappointed, but, we wanted to move forward. We're contacting all of our guests. We're explaining what we're doing. We're encouraging them to look at the students' portfolios, to contact them. We're going to start arranging some Zoom interviews, so everyone has 1 or 2 interviews coming their way. We're working on a roundtable discussion with some New York designers that the students will be able to Zoom into on Monday, May 11th. So it's we're chugging along, trying to make lemonade out of lemons.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for doing this. I think it's an excellent idea, and I think it's going to maybe prove to be a kind of a hybrid for the years to come. And I only wish I had some graduating MFAs that could participate in it, but it's an excellent idea.
Yeah. Well, it's also open to BFAs too, right, Steve?
Yeah, we're accepting BA, BFA, and MFAs. So, 2 kind of groups of people there. Some people who are looking for a job, and those might be some of the BFA students and, of course, all the MFA students. And then there's some BA and BFA students who are looking for grad school also. So this is an opportunity for us to get a jump on our little recruiting.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I think Brackley's right. I think this is going to be the future. Not everyone wants to work in New York.
Right.
But everyone wants to see their portfolio, and everyone wants to see their portfolio reviewed. So this is, for some students who don't quite have the financial resources to get to the showcase next year for our 20th anniversary. We're going to have a virtual component of it also. So we'll have an in-person showcase like we've had for the last 18 years, and then we'll have a virtual showing too. So I think it's going to grow. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't have 60 or 75 portfolio showing next year.
Wow, fantastic.
I think that's great. Now, you also say that you're recent MFA grads as well, or just the ones that are graduating this year?
I'm
happy to take a recent MFA grad. We had one school who is showing someone, I believe he was supposed to graduate 2 years ago, and he became ill and had to take a medical leave for a year. So, this will be his second. It's sad because this is the second showcase he will have missed. First, he didn't graduate and he became ill, and so he missed that one, signed up for this one, and now, we're doing it virtual. But yeah, we occasionally have students who've been out for a year and feel they need a little bit more of a kickstart, and they just, we bring that up. We show them to people and introduce them.
With people being unemployed, I have a couple of my students who graduated last year that I know have lost some of their jobs this year and might want to participate in that.
Sure, we can talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, great. And this week we're starting a brand new segment. It's called From the Light Talk Central Mailbox. Ching, ching, ching. So, we are going to be reading our letters of complaint that come into our Light Talk Central mailbox. And unfortunately, we receive quite a few of these every week. Today, we're going to read one from ASPOS, or ASPOS. I prefer to call them ASPOS, which stands for the American Society for the Protection of Squirrels. Now, if anybody heard our show 2 weeks ago, we had a very interesting discussion about squirrels. But let me read the letter first, and then we can talk about it. Gentlemen, and we use that term lightly, please accept this as a formal letter of complaint regarding last week's show, aptly titled, Hand Me That Squirrel. You should know that members of our society find your disgusting and outright juvenile and cruel debasement of the squirrel absolutely revolting. Your suggestion of using one of God's most beautiful and perfect creatures, the squirrel, as a substitute for toilet paper is beyond the pale. Worse, you suggest that the application of wireless power would cause a hailstorm of dying, falling squirrels, which would in turn ease the need for conventional toilet paper. This is not helpful. ASPOS would... I can't stop. ASPOS would appreciate you ceasing all comments from now on about our furry companions. Making fun of squirrels may seem funny to the three of you old farts, but to us, it's blasphemy. Kiss, kiss, Rodney Flatulence, director of ASPOS. So, Steve, do you have any comments about this letter?
Well, I would say, Rodney, don't knock it until you've tried it. So I'm there's going to come a time that you're going to be somewhere, maybe in Arizona, and your only choices are a cactus or a squirrel. And I think I know what you're going to reach for.
Or an armadillo.
Well, armadillos, you got to watch them, man. They're diseased.
And you should know because you're from Texas, when the armadillo is the state bird, I believe.
The other thing we have an abundance of down here besides squirrels would be black-tailed prairie dogs, but they're a lot harder to catch.
Yes. And you'll give up by the time. Squirrels are much easier. There you go, Rodney. So Steve has our first question of the day.
Okay, this is John in Maryland. And John writes, I have been asked to light our baptismal. I was thinking of changing the color of the water, by using pool lights and adding a 4x8 cyc surface. Any suggestions? Well, there are a lot of things that come to mind. The first thing is I suspect this might be your home church, and that's great. And for those who don't know what a baptismal is, that is a pool, a small pool, usually at the front of the church. The congregation can see the minister walk into the pool. Usually has some type of kind of glassy front on it, so you see maybe from the tummy up. And someone comes into the pool and they kind of dunk them in a baptism. They immerse them in water and they raise them back up out of water. So I would say my first suggestion to you is that you can design anything you want to. So, yeah, pool lights, that's great. Changing the color, that's fine. I don't think I would do the work myself, though. I think I would hire a professional pool company. I mean, you would hate that first baptismal to turn into a funeral. So I would make sure electricity and water is well taken care of. And I guess a cyc surface behind it. I mean, you can find LEDs sealed in a little case, so they will stand up to you. I mean, you couldn't. I don't think you can probably immerse it, but you could. But maybe you can buy something that can. I don't see any reason why this wouldn't work. And then you can send all that to your console, and you can have control over that. Whether it's going to a relay or a dimmer. Heck, sounds like a good idea to me. I would go for it. Any suggestions for them? David, you do a lot of work in churches. Have you seen anything like this?
I have not, and I actually haven't done a church in several years, but I have a great idea for you for the cyc surface behind the baptismal pool. And that's what we're talking about, right? We want a background. Just find a big flat screen TV. Just stick it back there, a flat panel TV.
Not in the water.
No, not in the water, because the whole thing's plexiglass. So you place it right behind upstage of the pool, so you see through the 2 layers of plexiglass, and then you could do a nice little sunset. It'd be really cheap because, look, they're giving these things away now, okay, these TVs. And I'm sure a lot of people from your congregation probably have an old TV, so put it back there. You can play commercials. You can do a lot of the fishes swimming by. You can do a lot of crazy things with it. So have fun.
How big are these things? I've only seen these pools that are these little small pools that they just baptize little babies, but they're not huge pools.
No. They're not huge.
Texas is bigger, I guess.
Well, no, I've seen them in Florida because Florida has a big Baptist church population. They're usually about 6 feet long, right?
Wow.
Yeah,
you've got 5 to 6. Yeah,
at least because you've got steps coming down into it, so that's going to take up. It's going to take up a couple feet right there, and steps going out. So that's good 4 or 5 feet.
Okay.
Then you've got to get 2 people in there,
right?
And you
gotta
have
get
to
2
be
people.
able. You got to immerse someone, so you're going to bend them back, and that's at least another 3 feet, so they don't whack their head on the steps.
So I'd say about 20 feet. Get a really big 20-foot tank.
My churches just had these small things where they baptize babies. They just, put their hands in and put the water over the forehead. I've never seen one where they immerse.
But older people get baptized too. So what are you going to do?
I would think a good 10 to 12 feet is probably the
maybe
limit.
Olympic-sized swimming pool?
You can put some jets in there, too, and turn into a jacuzzi at night. But I need to know something. Do they use holy water for the baptismal, or can it be any water?
I think it is. I mean, I've never known the Baptist to talk about holy water. I think they just fill that water up.
I should know this. I used to work just for Baptist churches. I mean, because they have all the money. And they're the ones with the gigantic lighting systems in their churches. They have these huge lighting systems that cost millions of dollars.
But, in all fairness here to John, and I'm not being flippant about this, they might have millions of dollars.
They may.
We're kind of assuming this is, he's going down to Home Depot and grab a couple pool lights. There are companies who really come in. He can design something. And there are companies who can come in and really do this right and give him exactly what he wants. And when he says change the color of water in the pool, I mean, absolutely, they can achieve this.
So Wendell in Illinois writes, I'm an actor teaching in a high school. Well, that's a problem right there, okay? A student asked me, why is it called a Source 4? Guess what? I did not know. Help me out, please. But do you guys know why they call that lighting fixture a Source 4, ETC?
It comes from the lamp.
That's right. It comes from the lamp. The Source 4 absolutely changed the world when it came out in 1992. Do you guys know who invented the Source 4? I know it says here in the script, but make believe
we don't want to
don't.
steal any of your thunder here.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, okay.
So David
Cunningham.
who invented the Source 4?
David Cunningham.
And he is a certified genius. This man has done so many things for the industry that people don't know.
Right. So as Brackley says, it does come from the lamp. And they created the HPL lamps for the Source 4. And HPL stands for High Performance Lamp. How do you like that? It uses a very compact filament, which concentrates the most light where it's efficient in an ellipsoidal reflector. Because of the filament, and it's so compact and small, even at 575 watts, it can produce as much light as the older, FEL lamps, the 1,000 watt FEL?
Yes.
That's pretty amazing. So you're cutting the power consumption in half, which also means not only is it just as bright, but you're cutting the heat in half as well. And we all know that the Source 4 also uses a dichroic reflector. So it basically passes through all the infrared wavelengths and only reflects the visual wavelengths, the ones that we can see through the gate and through the lenses and on stage, which also means that you're saving money with gobos, you're saving money with gels. The gels don't burn out as soon, and the shutters stay cool. The front of the fixture stays very cool. And that completely changed everything when they came out with this. And I remember when they came out with this because I had just bought like $30,000 of crappy strand lights back then. Okay. And,
not the Altman 360Qs?
No. The 360Qs are even older. The 360Qs are much older than the Source 4s.
Oh, I know.
But Strand makes great lights, don't get me wrong, but at the time they weren't really at the apex of lighting for ellipsoidals. And everybody, as soon as the Source 4 came out, and I remember this, it was at LDI when they introduced it, everybody was freaking out. They were. And it really, really changed the whole theatrical lighting industry. So pretty cool. So getting back to why it's called the Source 4 is that the lamp has 4 filament strands. Therefore, that's why they call it the Source 4.
If you go back to our Fred Foster interview, he talks about this.
That's right.
With Cunningham bringing him this lamp and the design of a fixture to go around it when no one else would. So it's kind of interesting to listen to Fred talk about that relationship and that it made ETC the company they are today because he had both of these men had the foresight and passion and the wisdom to move into this brand new technology that hadn't been tested before.
Cool.
But now the LEDs have arrived. So are they still called Source 4s?
Source forward.
Yep, Source Forward. Or is Source 4 like a generic name now? Everybody knows what it is.
Well, the source comes from the source of the light, which is the lamp. And the 4 comes from the filament strands. So it'd be a source LED.
Source LED.
Source LED, yeah. That's what they should have renamed it. We should have, hey guys, ATC, rename your fixtures.
Rename your fixture.
The source LEDs. There you go. Okay. Brackley has our next question.
Well, Darlene in Tennessee writes, I have an Altman Comet Followspot. I would like it to be really dim in my production of Romeo and Juliet, the tomb scene. Can I hook up my Followspot to a dimmer? The The janitor thinks not.
Wait a second. You should always listen to the janitor because the janitors know a lot more than we think, all right?
Well, I think so in this case especially because the Altman Comet, to my knowledge, has a low voltage or low wattage MR16 or low voltage, and it has a transformer. It also has a cooling fan, which are two things that dimmers do not like, or they do not like to be dimmed. So, but each follow spot comes with what's called a dowser, where you can mechanically dim the follow spot to whatever level you want by engaging the dowser.
Or you could just load up tons of neutral density filter.
I was just thinking that too. Ton of gray gel.
You know, technically, Darlene, and Brackley won't tell you this. Technically, you could hook it up to a dimmer. It just won't work very well for.
Right. It'll burn out the transformer. Right.
This is true.
I bet you the janitor has been there to see that happen, and you probably have the new one.
Right. This is the fourth comet that they've had.
Okay, now I have a question here. You said that it has an MR16 lamp in it, right?
I believe, if my memory is...
All right. But it also comes off the same power source as the fan, so you certainly don't want to dim the fan down. But this is what we used to do with our old... what were they? They were strong... The little incandescent lights, follow spots I had.
Trooperette 3s?
Right, Trooperette 3s, that's correct. So what we used to do, we used to take a pair of scissors and we'd used to cut the cable and we would split the power to the fan and to the lamp. So we put the lamp on the dimmer, but the fan stayed in a constant power, and therefore we could dim down our follow spots. Now, whether you could do this with this fixture or not, I have no idea. But that's what we used to do with
We used to do that on the satellites all the time.
Satellites, yeah, that's what it was, right? But
there you go, a phone call to Colorado and talk to Altman.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you are listening to Light Talk with the Lumen Brothers, and Light Talk is sponsored by...
This is a public service announcement from the Lumen Family Institute. Remember the last time when you got in a fight with your significant other and your partner would politely ask, "Hey, when does your next tour start?" Well, today's current events have suddenly thrust us all into a new reality. Just when you and your partner finally came to grips with you being away most of the time on tours, now you are locked in a small apartment spending all your time together. The Lumen Family Institute will give you 3 tips on how your relationship can survive this sudden change. 1. Cook the meals and wash the dishes. For years, your partner had to cook for themselves and eat alone while you were in Europe with your crewmates feasting on fast food and donuts. Show your partner that you are still able to survive if there are no In-N-Out burgers left. Cook a wonderful meal for the two of you using good, healthy food. We are not talking about slimy burritos from Taco Cabeza. We are talking about fresh vegetables steamed and sautéed on your gas stove. Your gastrointestinal system will thank you. 2. Clean up after yourself. Don't allow yourself to get buried in Burger King wrappers and Starbucks cups while you watch reruns of The Office on television. Your living room is not the filthy game room in the back of the tour bus. Show your partner that you respect your home space as well as the local health laws. And number 3, reignite the romance in your relationship. Show your partner that real intimacy is much more fun and fulfilling than phone sex. Just make sure you turn off that stale Seinfeld rerun before you go to bed. And remember, in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. Following these 3 simple steps, the Lumen Family Institute will help you and your partner survive anything. And let's hope that it's not too long for when your partner can once again turn to you and ask, "When is your next show again?" This has been a public service announcement from the Lumen Family Institute.
And now, back to Light Talk.
Well, the sound of those ducks in the background tells us that it's time once again for our Let's Talk About segment. Today's Let's Talk About is about the good guys and the bad guys. Who is doing the right thing and who isn't? As we all know, we're living in uncharted times. A lot of our friends are out of work. I mean, suddenly, obviously. Thank God this bill is passed so that there's going to be some government assistance. And I also heard that there's going to be unemployment for independent contractors, which is absolutely huge because most of us are independent contractors. But what's really been lovely and what's been wonderful and heartwarming is the fact that a lot of the industry manufacturers are basically bending over backwards to help the designers and technicians who unfortunately find themselves unemployed. So we have a list of manufacturers on the Light Talk website who are actually giving away software or offering free licenses. A lot of them only for a limited time, but that way you could actually learn new skills so that when the industry is ready to get back on tour and ready to go again, you are actually more qualified than you were before. Plus, it gives you something positive to do. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I would say the vast majority of manufacturers are doing this, which is really a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I think it's in their best interest too, but I really think that these companies really care. Do you guys have any comments about this or anybody in particular you would like to talk about?
Well, we're trying to update that list weekly on the Facebook site. So what you're seeing is what David is saying. Most of the manufacturers are stepping up and giving of their time and posting this information. They're also sharing things that used to cost some money in regards to training classes. Those are up and online right now for free. So I would take advantage of all this stuff. And I also would say I would remember this when you start buying equipment and you start looking at the companies who stepped up and did something for you, and it's time for you to do the right thing and purchase from them. And send a message to the people who aren't helping. That was a silly, short-sighted thing to do.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I'm not going to name too many people here, but there are a lot of really good people out there. I mean, I know ETC, Strand, just too many to even talk about, actually.
Lightright,
yes, John McKernan, thank you so much.
Grand MA.
Kudos to him.
Yes, Grand MA. I mean, if you don't know how to program a Grand MA, now's the great time to do it because it's free, you know? A lot of these companies are stepping up with incredible tutorials and free licenses for a limited amount of time, but you really only need it for like a month. Let's hope, let's knock on wood, right? There are also a few companies that, and there aren't many, there's just a couple, 2 or 3, that are listed as the bad guys, okay? Because they, I don't believe, are stepping up. And I think that when it comes to helping people out, especially students, I think things should pretty much be for free for this time period. And, you know, you see some companies that just have knocked off like 33% off their licenses or knocked off, 50% off of student licenses and things like that. I don't think that helps because, from an educator's point of view, and I don't know if you guys are experiencing this, Steve and Brackley, but students are having a real hard time now. I mean, emotionally. Hey, we're having a hard time emotionally. And we're telling our students, start learning this, learn Photoshop. Adobe, for our school, and I bet it's for your schools too, are offering free Creative Cloud licenses for the summer. So you could learn Photoshop. You can have a full license for Photoshop or for Premiere or any of the other visual editing programs, whether it be video or stills. All that stuff is free. So that's amazing. I'm teaching an online class now, a design class for undergrads, and a lot of them don't know Photoshop. They haven't taken Photoshop. So not only is Adobe giving these licenses away, they are also giving their great tutorials away. They have wonderful tutorials on their website. So you could basically teach yourself Photoshop. And I can't imagine anything that's more fun to do than that, personally. So as Steve said, look at our website, and there are other sources as well for the good guys and the bad guys, and take advantage of it, become a better designer, become a better student, become a better programmer, and then, as Steve said, absolutely buy from them. Return the favor because they stood up.
Well, again, I'm looking at this, and it's too many to name.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Lighting courses that are being offered, there must be at least 20 here. Grand MA training, there's 5 different sites. Something we never talk about very much, audio training. There's at least a dozen sites here offering audio training. Websites, you can, all the websites that have information out there, lighting designers sharing useful information, educational channels. You can click on, I'm just going to look at this one grabbed my eye. Jennifer Tipton on Edward Hopper.
Wow.
Theatrical lighting designer Jennifer Tipton
Yeah, I clicked that one the other day because I have an Edward Hopper
and what'd you think?
Production. It was good. I think it was great. And also, USITT is also going to, in the near future, be holding some seminars on the USITT website, I believe.
Yeah, and our friend Al Crawford has one up on lighting Alvin Ailey. Mm-hmm. So there's just a ton of information out there to keep us and our students occupied.
Right, positively occupied. Exactly.
As well as this is a great time to upgrade your website and your portfolio.
That's right. As we said that like 2 weeks ago. That's what you have to do. That. I mean, actually, that came from the 8 steps. Well, when you lose all your gigs from that video,
right.
Is update your portfolio. So Steve has our final question of the day.
JD, Lost in the Midwest, writes.
Is that what he put down? Lost in the Midwest?
I am doing a play, and I want the actor and the audience to see her own reflection in the pool of water. Where do I put the light? Nothing seems to work. So we have a play. There's an actress on stage. She's looking into a pool of water, and JD wants the audience to see her reflection. I'm going to jump right in there, JD, and I will be sending you an invoice for this. This is what I would do. I would put a mirror in the water and just put a very light amount of water over top of it. But I would have her looking into a mirror with the water over it. And you will see the water, and I've actually done this. So it works really well, and audience has no idea they're looking at a mirror.
Wait. Is it a flat mirror sitting at the bottom of a pool?
What I took, I needed my play had different had reflecting pools in it. And oddly enough, the director wanted to see someone's reflection in it. So we messed around with that for a lot of time. And then I thought, well, hang on. Go to the costume shop and take a mirror off the wall and bring it up here. And it worked just fine. The way the set was built, there was some kind of rubble on the floor. You had no idea. You never saw the edge of the pool. All you saw was the pool, and this raked audience could look right in there at that moment and see the reflection.
But
You're welcome.
Isn't there an angle issue here? Because if it's like sitting on flat, I mean, the only person who could see her reflection would be her.
Well, I probably wouldn't do it at the Metropolitan Opera.
What size theater were you doing it in?
I was doing a theater about the size of yours, a little 60 by 60 black box.
Oh, okay.
Had audience raked, so
the audience could see the reflection.
I'm not promising that everybody in the audience saw the reflection, but most of them did.
Wow. So the audience was highly raked, I would think.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. See, I would do it with video somehow. There's an opera, Lucia de Lammermoor, where there's a moment where she looks into a pool. And I've done a lot of different things for that opera using video. For that production, we actually used a flat floor. We took a piece of dark net, or it was a similar type of black scrim-like reflective material, and we projected straight down from above the image of the actor. Now, you could either do a live image of them from a camera, or you could have a pre-recorded image. We also had over that a video of a water effect that we mixed in with the image. It was actually quite effective. But by using the video, that's kind of a fake reflection, but it does assure that everyone in the theater sees it. I'll tell you, Steve, your solution sounds very fascinating to me. I would love to see it.
You know who taught me that?
Who?
Louis Hartman. Remember Louis Hartman? Manual the Stage Switchboard. He was David Belasco's lighting designer.
Oh.
I was reading his book and his memoirs about weird things he had done for David Belasco. Yeah, he loved using reflective surfaces.
Oh, right.
And there's an argument that Louis Hartman actually invented the ellipsoidal. The first stage spotlight I was reading. Not the ellipsoidal, but the first stage spotlight was invented by Louis Hartmann.
Was it the PC, or was it something even before that?
I was reading simply just an anecdotal comment on it, so I can't say that's absolutely true.
Yeah, it would probably have to be like an electric, because obviously they had gas and candles and stuff like that before. But if it was an electric spotlight of some sort.
And I agree. I think it was probably the PC they were speaking about.
Probably a lens light. Or maybe it was something like a beam projector where the lamp was absolutely exposed.
I think it was the Plano convex spotlight, yes.
It was the PC, yeah, which we still use in Europe a lot.
Yeah.
And I love them. I love the PC spotlight.
Well, the PCs over here weren't that good, but I did a show over in Greece once, and they had all these PCs on the inventory. I'm going, oh my gosh, this is going to be horrible. I went over there, and oh my gosh, they're the best things.
Same thing happened to me.
Did you ask them to shutter the PCs for you?
I did.
I find that amazing.
No, I just think they were wonderful. We did this show in Delphi. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, the guys I was working with also in Greece had strips of metal, and they just took a gel frame and they would turn the light on, and they would put little thin strips of metal, like maybe 1/4 inch high, 1/2 inch high, until they framed the light that you wanted. So they built whatever you wanted temporarily and inserted that into the gel holder.
But over here, the PCs weren't as wonderful.
No, the PCs stunk here. There's no, the PCs in Europe, like made by ADB and several other companies, they have the most beautiful field of light I've ever seen, of incandescent light. And I would take a 2K PC for front light, or almost even high side I use them for. I use them for a lot of things in Europe, over just about anything. You know, it's certainly over Source 4s, because Source 4s aren't as powerful, and but the edges are so beautifully soft, and it's got this even field. It's just a magnificent lighting fixture. Gorgeous. Well, the rocking sounds of the Lumenoids in the background tells us that once again you've spent another morning listening to Light Talk. You can hear our show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Libsyn, SoundCloud, Google, Live Design Online, and just about every other podcast site out there. Check out our website on lighttalk.org for future guests, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. That way you will not miss a second of Light Talk fun.
No guarantee is offered regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on this podcast. However,
if you choose to litigate, the law firm of Fleck, Flock, Flare, and Glare and their paralegal Snoot will defend us until our retirement funds are depleted.
Light Talk is written and produced by the Lumen Brothers, coming to you from Long Beach, Las Vegas, and the Lone Star State.
And be sure to tune in next week when we discuss more crazy happenings from the lighting world.
All that and a new sponsor.
Light Talk, broadcasting questionable lumen knowledge and humor around the world.
So we'll see you all next Saturday morning. Bye-bye from Light Talk, and stay healthy.
Toodles.
Bye-bye.